Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Faith and Finance Podcast. I'm your host, Nick. Glad to be with you today. I got to be honest, I always feel this way, but this is an interesting question that was kind of posed to me several months ago, and I've just not been able to stop wrestling with the concept of iconography and its intersection with faith and with money and a theology of possessions. And so I just want to introduce this question to you guys in the form of this newsletter today, and recognize that I'm not tying a nice bow on anything today. Honestly, I'm probably going to introduce more tension than I resolve, and I hope that's okay. You've probably heard this advice. I've heard this a couple different places, but you know, to the young sales guy early in his career, if you want to close deals, go buy the most expensive suit you can afford and strap on a Rolex. Walk into any room looking the part, and people will just kind of assume the rest. Now, besides the initial cringe and kind of yuck factor that I feel toward that quote, I have to confess there is something almost right about that advice. And there's also something that's completely rotten at its core, okay? The almost right part is that we all want to look presentable, okay? We care about quality. We want our homes to feel warm and our cars to, represent us well. I've heard, a clean car reflects its owner. My wife always jokes that people who care about their cars back in instead of pulling into parking spaces. Those are not like corrupt desires, right? They're normal, they're human, and they're good, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think good desires become a problem, though, when they start doing a different job than the one that they were hired for. So Randy Alcorn, he writes that wealth is like the sun. It's not neutral. Contrary to what other prominent teachers may say, wealth is not neutral. It just draws everything towards it. You get too close, you burn up. You go too far, and you freeze. There has to be a safe orbit and a right relationship around money, and it's always in motion, right? Like that's why I like the word orbit so much, is because orbit is not standing still. But there's an orbit. There's a right relationship where you can enjoy the good things God's given you without completely losing yourself to the gravitational pull. And most of us don't really think about the orbit. We kind of just drift. The real question, when I'm making a purchase, though, or considering one, is what am I actually trying to accomplish? Is this a sin? Is a bit too blunt of an instrument. The more uncomfortable diagnostic might be: is this decision primarily about sustaining myself and the people that I'm responsible for, or is it about elevating how I appear to the people around me? Let me say that again, because there's kind of two tracks here. Our purchase decisions can usually run in two directions. Sometimes it's the same, but it's at least two underlying currents behind our or beneath our purchase decisions and our desires. Is sustenance for ourselves or those that depend on us, or elevation, self elevation, typically, and appearance and how we appear to the people around us. Those two motivations can often look very similar from the outside, but they don't feel the same from the inside. Right? The sustaining inclination doesn't need an audience. Okay, doesn't really care what other people have to say for good or for bad. The elevation always does. Right? Dave Ramsey is famous for saying, you're spending money you don't have to buy a car you can't afford to impress people that you'll never meet. So the iconography problem. And just to define our terms a little bit, iconography, and I'll illustrate it here. Mercedes. Everybody knows the Mercedes emblem. Tesla, right? Premium brands. We all are familiar with these premium logos. A used Mercedes is still a Mercedes. A Tesla is still a Tesla. It doesn't really matter what you paid for it. The person driving behind you in a 2012 Honda Odyssey doesn't know what you paid for it, and they wouldn't really care if they did. What they see, though, is the logo, right? That emblem, that hood ornament. And that communicates something whether you intend to or not. I mean, let's be honest, that's why knockoff brands exist, because the whole appeal is that you can look like the real thing without actually being it, which tells you something about what we've decided the logo is really for. It's not about the quality of the underlying product, right? It's not about the performance or about the durability or about the longevity. It's about the appearance and about the status. Right? So buying a knockoff of something, even if it's a $20 knockoff, is still pursuing the self-elevation function of money by means of iconography. If I want this car to look a certain way, I should be honest with myself about whether that matters, because it genuinely matters to me, or because of who I think it makes me look like. And knowing what you're trading before you trade it is really the whole exercise. There's a man in Matthew 13 who stumbles onto treasure that's buried in a field. He goes and sells everything he has, and he does it in joy. Not duty or guilt or reluctant obedience, but joy, because he knew what he was trading up for. That's the real picture here. It's freer, it's lighter, it's more joyful. It's just a better way to move through the world than the alternative of being organized around what other people think when they see you pull into the parking lot, or when they see you get dressed, when you show up dressed a certain way. And it starts with noticing what you're actually buying when you buy something, right? James even talks about this as well when he talks about demonstrating partiality, right? To the brother who walks into your gathering in fine clothes and dressed like he's obviously got the trappings of wealth and he's dripping with money, versus the brother who walks in dressed in rags and rather humiliating attire. If you show preference to the brother who is wealthy, that is evil. James is like ridiculously clear about this. I mean, it is uncomfortably clear. Showing partiality toward the wealthy and against the poor is evil. And so in buying a Mercedes, even if it's a screaming deal, or the knockoff Michael Kors bag, or whatever your flavor is, right? Like in buying the elite looking thing, what are we actually trying to do? Like, oh my gosh, are we really? It's so easy, guys. It's so normal. It's so common to try to buy something because it looks like the nicer version of it, instead of being comfortable having the version that we can actually afford, even if that's the lesser version. Because when we give to money the job of like elevating our status, first off, it seldom fulfills that duty. And even when it does, it doesn't do it fully. And ultimately it fails because it can't, that's not its job. It can't do that, right? That's not the function of money, ultimately. The aim, as Paul put it, in 1 Timothy 1:5, is the aim of our charge is love, which issues from a pure heart. And so, in our purchase decisions, right? The aim of our charge, no pun intended, charge. But the aim of our purchases should be love that flows from a pure heart, not to cultivate envy in the hearts of those around us, right? But to to enjoy a blessing, for our good, to God's glory, and that we might be, well equipped to serve those around us. So anyway, like I said, I'm not trying to tie a bow around this because this is still, this is a very present tension that I find myself living in constantly. But I hope you enjoy wrestling with it as well and thinking through this, because, oh man, like there is real treasure, guys. There's real joy buried in the field that we can find and we have found in Christ. And there is real treasure. Jesus wants us to have it. So let's not settle for the lesser thing here, right? Let's not settle for the complete knockoff treasure when the actual treasure is being offered to us. So, all right, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. See you next week.